While tidying up my room yesterday, I serendipitously unearthed a treasure from the third grade.
A clandestine diary? Or perhaps a love letter intended for your desk mate?
No, my disciplinary record book.
Oh, the sheer scent of exemplary behavior is already wafting from the very beginning of this tale.
Do not tease me. Reading it again made my face flush crimson. My homeroom teacher wrote explicitly, Emna habitually forgets her homework.
And how did you handle that? Did you bring it home for your parents to sign?
I was so incredibly naive back then. I went home and deadpanned to my mother, Mom, the teacher mistakenly wrote another student's name in my book.
Good heavens, that tactic is an absolute classic for the ages.
That is not all. To amplify my credibility, I generously threw in a bout of bitter, utterly convincing tears.
Magnificent, a prodigy of the dramatic arts from childhood. How did your mother react?
She embraced and consoled me, saying she would seek absolute clarity from the teacher at the upcoming parent-teacher conference.
Haha, and the bitter denouement?
Returning from the conference, she stood and stared at me for exactly 5 seconds. Not a single word was uttered. That profound silence was far more terrifying than a thunderstorm of rage. Consequently, I voluntarily confessed to everything.
Haha, at least you managed to hold the fort until the conference. I was even more audacious in second grade. Once, I lost my newly purchased pencil case.
And then you accused your deskmate of thievery?
No, I shifted the blame to a dog.
Did your family have a fierce hound back then?
The crux of the matter is that we didn't own a dog. Hence, my mother inquired, which dog?
So, how did you respond?
I claimed the neighbor's dog had stealthily infiltrated my room, snatched the pencil case in its jaws, and vanished. I even depicted it meticulously, golden fur, droopy ears, and a highly mischievous glint in its eyes.
I am beginning to feel pity for that phantom dog. Did your mother buy into it?
She bought it for about 3 seconds. Then she softly delivered the fatal question, and how exactly did this dog manage to unzip your backpack?
A lethal strike! Truly leaving no avenue for denial.
I was petrified for 5 seconds. My brain couldn't render a new script in time. Ultimately, I had to mumble the truth. I had abandoned it in my desk drawer at school.
Meaning the neighbor's canine carried a false accusation for years. Speaking of lies, did you ever feign illness to skip school?
Everyone is a connoisseur of that trick. Have you dabbled in it as well?
Yes, I once stealthily submerged a mercury thermometer in a cup of boiling water to fake a severe fever.
That is quite an investment in scientific research.
But alas, I had not studied physics yet, so I was ignorant of the thermometer's limits. After soaking it, I presented it to my mother. The crimson line had skyrocketed past 43 degrees Celsius.
43 degrees? At that threshold, they'd be prepping an ambulance for the emergency room, let alone sending you to school.
Exactly! My mother frantically packed our things, ready to carry me to the hospital instantly. Terrified, I immediately reversed course, exclaiming, Mom, I am fully recovered. The heat just miraculously vanished.
A miraculous recovery within 10 seconds. Indeed, global medicine must bow down to your supernatural healing.
Everyone has made such utterly catastrophic statements in their childhood. What about you? Any clandestine acts of sabotage followed by shifting the blame?
Once, I was playing football indoors and shattered my mother's beloved vase.
Did you blame it on a rogue gust of wind?
No, I declared that the vase threw itself down.
The vase threw itself down? Are you jesting with me?
I told my mother. I saw it standing there all day looking utterly exhausted, so it simply lay down to rest.
Ha ha! Good heavens! Hearing that, the vase would probably want to resurrect itself in self-defense. Adults back then undoubtedly knew we were fabricating tales. Why did they still interrogate us?
Merely to see if we possessed the courage to confess our transgressions. Yet, every child at that age operates under the delusion that they are a genius capable of outwitting adults.
Spot on. Like the time I stealthily devoured a pastry. Before exiting the kitchen, I meticulously wiped my mouth clean, leaving absolutely no trace.
Exceedingly professional, a meticulously calculated endeavor.
However, I was oblivious to the fact. My hands were coated in crumbs, and a glaring smear of strawberry cream adorned my shirt. When my mother asked, "Who ate the cake?" I quick-wittedly replied, "I didn't eat it. I was simply taking a few slices for a stroll."
Haha, taking the cake for a stroll. That concept is undeniably worthy of a flawless score in creativity.
Do cease your laughter. I was dead serious in that very moment.
I am desperately trying to contain myself, but in retrospect, those quintessential childhood lies sound simultaneously comical and endearing, like when parents ask, "Who broke this?" and a chorus chants, "Not me," even when only a solitary child is in the room.
Or the classic, "I am just holding it for a friend," whilst actively tearing open someone else's toy.
And then there's "It broke all by itself." It truly seems every earthly object possessed the superpower of self-destruction the moment it fell into our youthful hands.
Such absolute innocence in childhood. Those fabrications of yesteryear, when all is said and done, stemmed merely from the fear of reprimand and of breaking our parents' hearts. Don't you think?
Precisely. Children invariably place their faith in their realms of imagination, occasionally believing so fervently that they convince themselves it is the ultimate truth.
Now that we have grown, reminiscing about it brings a smile, coupled with a deep yearning for that era of boundless liberty.
And the profound realization that we have genuinely entered adulthood.
Yet occasionally, recalling those foolish antics still elicits a solitary chuckle from me.
It is fortunate I am here to listen today, or the bystanders might suspect you are losing your wits.
Or perhaps they would assume we are locked in a duel to determine who possessed the more mischievous childhood.
If so, let us declare this bout a stalemate. I still harbor several unrevealed escapades in my arsenal.
Do conserve them. If we exhaust our repertoire in one sitting, our next coffee rendezvous will be devoid of laughter.
I have just unearthed a rather captivating truth.
It sounds decidedly grave. What might that be?
It appears that everyone in this world harbors at least one exceedingly eccentric habit.
Merely one? You severely underestimate humanity. I believe the absolute minimum is 5.
Are you making a personal confession?
No, I am merely conducting a pragmatic survey.
Then let the Inquisition begin with you.
You must pledge not to mock me.
I pledge to exert my utmost restraint.
The word exert sounds faintly untrustworthy. But very well. As for me, slumber is utterly unattainable unless my pillow is facing its designated correct side.
The side of the pillow? Does a pillow not possess two identical planes?
They are profoundly different. They may appear identical to the naked eye, but lying upon it reveals the truth instantly. If I accidentally rest on the wrong side, an undeniable sense of wrongness haunts me, making it impossible to drift off.
This is precisely the breed of spiritual intuition that requires zero empirical evidence.
Absolutely precise. And what of you? What is your peculiar ritual?
Prior to crossing my threshold, I must test the door handle exactly 3 times to ensure it is impregnably locked.
Why exactly 3 times? Would 2 not suffice?
2 times leaves a lingering unease, whilst 4 feels undeniably superfluous. My brain has unilaterally decreed 3 to be the sanctuary number.
Your brain enforces quite a draconian regime. Are there days when you pull it and then ponder, wait, did I pull it a full 3 times?
Indeed, with agonizing frequency. In those moments, I am compelled to initiate a full reset, commencing anew from the very act of turning the lock.
Were I standing behind you, I would assume you were conducting a rigorous quality assurance test for the apartment complex's doors.
And what of your repertoire, any other uniquely esoteric quirks?
I also suffer from the compulsion to peruse menus from bottom to top.
How utterly bizarre. To forge your own untrodden path.
Because the most astronomically priced delicacies typically dominate the opening pages, reading from the bottom up reveals fare that suits the wallet, significantly easing the psychological burden.
I must admit, this economic logic is strangely compelling. Ultimately, what do you usually summon to the table?
Well, a stark black iced coffee, devoid of sugar.
Much like today?
Precisely so.
Then what, pray tell, is the grand purpose of reading the menu from the bottom up?
To serve as a sobering reminder to myself that I am yet to amass the fortunes required to order from the opening page.
Your resilience is truly unmatched. I, on the other hand, possess the affliction of conversing with inanimate objects. For instance, when my computer freezes, I plead, please expedite this, just a fraction, be my savior, this one last time.
And does it respond with accelerated swiftness?
Not in the slightest. But at the very least, I feel I have made a valiant attempt at peaceful negotiation.
It is a blessing it does not talk back, or I would submit my resignation immediately. However, I am no better. I frequently find myself apologizing to the table.
The table? Why on earth must you beg for its forgiveness?
Whenever I walk carelessly and stub my toe against its edge, my primal reflex is to gently rub the wood and murmur, "Oops, my apologies. Did that hurt?"
Haha, while the one in excruciating agony, teetering on the edge of tears, is actually you.
I am fully aware of the sheer absurdity, but my limbs move on their own, and the words simply tumble out. Do not dissect it too deeply. I am mortified.
Tell me, do you belong to the fellowship of those compelled to inspect the gas stove repeatedly before departing?
Unquestionably, there are days I have descended all the way to the ground floor, only to freeze abruptly, struck by a spiritual query. Did I neglect to turn off the stove? Thus, I haul myself back up the stairs.
And upon reaching the summit, do you find it extinguished?
It's been extinguished for an eternity. Yet, I am bound to stand and stare at it for an additional 3 seconds to solidify the confirmation. Then, having descended halfway down the stairs again.
You pivot and ascend once more.
How could you possibly predict that so flawlessly?
Because I am afflicted by the very same curse. It turns out that as we mature, our anxieties become remarkably absurd. In our youth, we feared phantoms and the encompassing darkness.
Now, our greatest terrors are a neglected gas stove, abandoned keys, or a forgotten wallet. Walking but a short distance demands a frantic patting of the pockets for verification.
A pat once, then twice, then thrice. There are moments the phone is resting conspicuously in my very palm, yet I still panic, frantically slapping my pockets in search of it.
Ha ha! In this particular realm of madness, I concede defeat to you.
The tale is not yet over. Whenever I seek misplaced items, I am compelled to summon them aloud, along the lines of, "O keys, where have you secreted yourselves?"
Have they ever found their voice to offer you a reply?
No, but upon discovering them, I will instinctively continue the script, "Ah, there you are," to simulate a complete two-way dialogue. It significantly alleviates the creeping sense of solitude.
My quirk diverges. Whenever a brilliant idea sparks within my mind, I deliver a profound, deeply satisfied nod of approval to myself.
As though you have just single-handedly passed a monumental resolution in an internal committee meeting.
Precisely. I am the sole proposer and the supreme approver, requiring zero consensus from any board of directors.
You come to realize something profound. Everyone assumes their habits are perfectly orthodox until they utter them to another living soul.
Undeniably true. Only upon speaking them aloud does one recognize they are somewhat bizarre, yet endearingly so.
Much akin to those who set an alarm for 6 in the morning, solely for the perverse pleasure of silencing it to slumber until 7.
Or opening the refrigerator to gaze into the abyss, extracting nothing and shutting it. 5 minutes later, opening it anew in the fervent hope that a miracle has materialized.
Fully cognizant of the fact that yesterday's pastry was utterly decimated by one's own hands.
But at the very least, having shared this today, a deep peace settles over me. It appears neither of us is a shred more normal than the other.
From this moment forth, should you witness me wrestling with the door handle 3 times, you will offer me absolute absolution, won't you?
And you shall feign no shock when you catch me tenderly comforting the dining table.
Unquestionably.
But hold a moment. If I happen to observe you pulling the handle for the 3rd time, I will stealthily sprint over and yank it a 4th.
That is sheer malevolence. I would be forced to initiate a grueling reset from ground zero.
Where is the joy without a little chaos?
Have you ever observed it? Our minds possess an insatiable appetite for the game of what if.
Utterly accurate. It is, in essence, a masterful screenwriter, yet tragically, it exclusively pens scripts for psychological thrillers and cinematic horrors.
Along the veins of, what if I neglected to lock the door?
Despite having just stood there, agonizingly yanking the handle precisely 3 times.
Or perhaps, what if I accidentally dispatched that text to my boss? Thus, panic ensues, dictating one to desperately pry open the phone and verify it 10 more times for absolute certainty.
The brain truly operates at maximum velocity in the most spectacularly unnecessary moments.
Just the other night, I was submerged in a death-like slumber. Suddenly, at the exact stroke of 2 in the morning, I bolted upright like a programmed automaton.
Was there an intruder or a seismic tremor?
No, my brain inexplicably whispered into my ear. It appears you failed to reply to that critical email from the partner. Consequently, I scrambled out of bed and ignited my computer to investigate.
And was this phantom email reality?
Not in the slightest. I had crafted an exceptionally meticulous reply at 3 o'clock that very afternoon.
The brain truly volunteers for unpaid overtime on a whim. My tale is even more comical. Once having departed my house for a mere 5 minutes, I suddenly petrified in the middle of the street.
Gripped by the terror of abandoning your keys or wallet, I presume.
No, I asked myself. What if I am currently parading down the street wearing mismatched sandals? I was thus forced to bend down and scrutinize my feet intensely for several excruciating seconds.
Were there pedestrians witnessing this spectacle?
Oh, certainly. They cast deeply sympathetic and concerning glances my way. They likely deduced I was conducting biological research on the anatomical structure of my feet in broad daylight.
I, too, harbor an exquisitely irrational dread. Every time I transmit a dossier to a client, the thought inevitably strikes. What if I just dispatched a completely vacuous file?
Good heavens, I suffer the exact same affliction. Even after explicitly opening it upon attachment, the moment it is sent, I am compelled to re-download it just to verify its existence once more.
Precisely. 5 minutes after closing it, the brain chimes in. What if your eyes deceived you during the download, and so it must be resurrected once again?
It is absolute torment! And let us not speak of dispatching text messages. The very second I strike, send, my heart hammers against my ribs, terrified I've selected the wrong recipient. Even when the target is accurate, the anxiety morphs. What if the period at the end of my sentence leads them to believe I am enraged?
Your brain is nothing short of a cosmic-level behavioral psychoanalyst, dedicating its genius to dissecting elements the recipient wouldn't even passively acknowledge.
The depths of my madness go further. Before slumber claims me, I engage in the torturous ritual of recounting every syllable I uttered that day for a rigorous self-inquisition. What if I had chosen a different phrase in that moment? Would it not have been infinitely superior?
And having exhausted these thoughts, does reality alter itself for you?
Naturally not, yet I indulge in the agony purely for the sport of insomnia.
However, occasionally, the what-if game is a delightful escapade. Take myself, I frequently wander into the reverie. What if I conquered the lottery and seized tens of billions?
Oh, this I vehemently approve of. Have you blueprinted the grand expenditure of this fortune?
Thoroughly. Firstly, the acquisition of an estate with sprawling gardens, a fleet of supercars, followed by a global odyssey, a pristine strategy without a single fracture.
And what is the ensuing maneuver in this master plan?
I reach the crushing realization that I haven't purchased a lottery ticket. My intellect sprints slightly too far ahead of reality.
Your multi-million-dollar scheme lacks the single most crucial component. I, conversely, often drift into the fantasy. What if, one miraculous day, a feline could speak the human tongue?
But your household is bereft of any feline presence?
Hence why I explicitly stated it was a joyous imagination. I surmise that upon gaining speech, Its inaugural decree would be, "Step aside so I may slumber, you bothersome servant," or perhaps starkly, "Where is the feast?"
That resonates flawlessly with the feline temperament. Have you ever realized that the vast majority of these terrifying what-ifs we agonize over absolutely never materialize?
Exactly. We squander an exorbitant amount of time fearing chimeras, whereas the events that genuinely strike are entirely beyond the realm of our anticipation.
In childhood, we dreaded the monster lurking beneath the bed. Having reached maturity, we finally recognize the abyss beneath the bed holds no such beasts.
Indisputably, for the most horrifying monster that plagues us now bears the name End of the Month Bills.
My heartfelt congratulations on officially crossing the threshold into the realm of adults. But truthfully, I have recently mastered a rather ingenious method to combat the terror of what-ifs.
What sorcery is this? You must enlighten me.
We simply invert the question toward the light of optimism. For instance, what if everything unfolds with a magnificence beyond our wildest expectations?
Oh, that breathes an instant lightness into the soul. What if I conquer it this time? What if they are genuinely enraptured by my vision?
Precisely. Since it is merely an illusion of the mind regardless, why not construct illusions that breed joy? It appears we dedicate exorbitant resources, bracing for catastrophe, whilst utterly neglecting to prepare our hearts to welcome delight.
That is a remarkably profound thought. If serendipity were to knock upon our door, we might be so violently consumed by our anxieties that the sound would fall on deaf ears.
Today our discourse spanned the treacherous landscapes of childhood deceit, the eccentricities of our habits, and culminated in the grand philosophy of what if.
I have unearthed a striking revelation. The vast majority of the tales that sparked our roaring laughter today were the very events that induced agonizing terror in our past.
Perhaps time itself is the most masterful of comedians. It transmutes matters of grave consequence into enchanting anecdotes to be savored over a cup of coffee.
Listen, Alex, what if we find ourselves seated right here once more next week?
Then what would ensue?
We would undoubtedly possess yet another overflowing basket of foolish chronicles to bestow upon one another.
I possess unshakable faith in that prophecy, for neither of us has ever suffered a drought of comedic material. Shall we seal the pact for our next coffee encounter?
Unquestionably, but next time you must remind me to cease begging the table for its forgiveness.
I shall make a valiant effort. As for you, remember to command me to abandon my three-pull ritual on the door handle.
I shall make an effort, which implies that next time, I will stealthily sprint over and tug it once more to finalize the count at 4.
And I shall enact an additional half-pull, cementing it at 4.5 to utterly obliterate your game.
You are genuinely beyond the reach of any earthly cure.